Shalom, this is Mary Omni from the World Government House of King David, Holy Covenant Constitutional Enforcer. This is the Republic Notice. The title of this Republic Notice is called Should Blacks Support Immigration Act and Hispanics Coming Into This Country Under Immigration Acts. Now, this question is being asked because some blacks, many blacks, who are in the Black Caucus, who are part of ACORN, who are part of Blacks in Government, have the feeling and have voted for, immigration among Hispanics to come into this country to create the numbers for political power. Now, political power by numbers in majority is what they seek to overcome white oppression, who have used their white majority for years to trample really constitutionality, or to say, well, the majority rules. So if the majority rules, a lot of blacks, like the previous leaders of ACORN, the Black Caucus, other blacks in government, are getting the feeling, as well as President Obama, that maybe we should just support all these Hispanics and immigration coming in to overcome and overwhelm a white majority, therefore to equalize the voting power that will keep blacks in a certain level of a power base to elect blacks like President Obama and Michelle Obama. So the question is, should blacks support Hispanic immigration? Now, if this is not answered with constitutionality, then the answer becomes muddied in de facto law, okay? De facto law. Now, this is it. The Constitution, in truth, supremes the minority, okay? But since whites did not want to respect a constitutional supreme minority, they chose the indoctrined government of incorporate doctrines of a majority herd of incorporate doctrines trampling the Constitution. And as long as they can trample and overwhelm the supreme constitutional minority, then we will have a government of incorporate doctrines for the people and by the people of incorporate doctrines, not a constitutional supreme minority government for the republic as we the people, for the people, by the people. See, and so that is the choice that many blacks are in a dilemma. Now, the truth of the matter is, whites have not respected the constitutionality. So say, well, we got to really just hold on to the Constitution at all costs at this point. They believe that is a fantasy because it hasn't been respected. So they want to hold on to fantasy of, if we could just import a whole bunch of people of color, we can solve this problem. Any fantasy don't solve the problem, because the truth of the reality is the God's sovereignty is in the Constitution. And when you support a de facto incorporate doctrine to try to gain political power, at this late date, I think it is in error. And this is my observation, that it is in error. Why? Because we're past 12/21/2012, the cosmic alignment. Prior to the cosmic alignment, I would have said, yeah, prior to President Obama being elected, I would have said maybe, because things were in such disarray of the Constitution being overwhelmed. Now we have a constitutional citizen in the White House of Judah with her constitutional husband of Ephraim, and the constitutional children who are Lord children born of Ephraim and Judah. So this makes a serious statement that it's time for change. And the change is, should we still cater to this de facto in corporate doctrine majority? Because even if you bring all these Hispanics in, no matter how many you bring in, they're going to always look out for their self-interest. And they will vote white Hispanics in positions of power. See, they will identify with the Hispanic names, no matter what their complexion. And they will vote whites in. We saw that in Florida when Mr. Meeks ran. They put that other man in, a Hispanic man. I don't even know his name. But he just came from Cuba, and he's pretty much white, a white Cuban. But all Hispanics chose him over black Mr. Meeks for the senatorship. So they chose him over the true Constitution. When Mr. Meeks ran, he really asserted that he's the true senator of Florida. But he don't know he's the true senator because he don't know his constitutionality, and maybe he just feel as though majority rule. Not based on contract. So majority rule, but it's not based on constitutionality. Any majority rule is not based on constitutionality because that's based on a public ruling the republic, which our Constitution is the republic. And so bringing all these Hispanics in is not going to solve the problem of black people. It will serve the globalist agenda to keep trampling the Constitution, to push Hispanic language, to keep on depriving blacks, to keep on attritioning blacks. And believe me, I don't want the whites here. I don't want the white immigrants here. I don't want the Asian immigrants here because they don't respect the constitutionality. If they had respect for the constitutional blacks, it would be another thing. But anyone comes into this country is coming to infringe and trample the black infant back. So when we ask the question of do we want 100 million, 200 million, 300 million Hispanics in here by easy import, ask yourself, do you want the black infant back trampled more than it is, as if in two wrongs make a right? Because we already know most whites are the real illegal immigrants. Whites are the true majority illegal immigrants under corporate doctrine. Now we want to bring another 100 or 200 million more illegal immigrants and put in corporate doctrine de facto act on them and call them legal by a false law, false de facto, because we own the mule. And the mule is non-consented for them to be even making acts under. So all of them are illegal. And so the question blacks have to ask is, do you think God Almighty will want 200 million more trampling his royal black Judah infant back for the sake of political power? And do you trust that God Almighty said that he will send his son, King Yeshua, to redeem his people with 144,000? See, I put my faith after the alignment of 12/21/2012 in 144,000 and King Yeshua. Not important some Hispanics in who's just going to put white Hispanics in office, try to iconoclast black music like they do on the internet, murder blacks off, trample the black infant back, and try to take the position of white oppression, because remember, it was a Hispanic that brought blacks here in 1526, okay? So all you doing is repeating a cycle of sin and a cycle of servitude. So this is the question that you have to answer to the Black Caucus, birther of Acorn, President Obama, and Michelle Obama. Now, the other thing is the possibility that these Hispanics can be buffers, because maybe if a lot of them is here, they will buffer them coming directly at blacks when this war takes place, when this physical starts to get ugly. Whatever it is, understand that birther of Acorn, the Black Caucus, a lot of blacks in these organizations see it as the only solution, which means the blacks in these organizations are becoming desperate. Desperate enough to say, invite all to trample the black infant for his birthrights, just to make sure whites don't have political power, as if two wrongs make a right. So, you know, we're in a dilemma, and I would say only trust God's sovereignty and God Almighty. And opening the door to 200 million more immigrants is an aberration in a lack of faith of trusting God Almighty, King Jesus and his 144,000 to put asunder all this transgression of law, just like he did in the Civil War. And remember, he supreme blacks in the Constitution, and he went against all odds with President Lincoln, and he made it so that the slaves of 300 or 400 years is the only national constitutional citizens. If he can accomplish this great feat, he can reinforce the supreme minority in the Constitution after the cosmic alignment. So no, immigration is not the answer. If it was, we wouldn't have a Zimmerman taking the life of a Trayvon Martin, who Hispanic. And you better remember that. Remember that you was chased out of Los Angeles as blacks and murdered. Remember they shot black children. So you better hope for the 144,000 and King Yeshua and pray for that. And look at these blacks' desperation and wake up as blacks, because these people you got in leadership is becoming too desperate at your sleeping blacks. You too many masses of blacks are sleeping. So the ones on the front line is becoming very, very desperate. And their desperate could mean a nail in the coffin to the black infant. So that's what you better understand. God don't like ugly. Ugliness has to be put away. This is Mary Omni from the House of King David. Shalom.